Parenting strong-willed and defiant kids can test us to our core. As much as we love our kids, they certainly know how to test us and push our buttons. In this video, I want to share some insights I've gotten over the years as both a psychologist, but also as a parent. I think these will help you connect with and positively influence even the most defiant child. So let's get started. Let me tell you a story about a boy we will call Joey. Joey was staying out at night. He was staying out all night. Sometimes he would not even come home for days. Joey had some bad friends, a really negative peer group. They were all using drugs. They shoplifted together, and he'd even been arrested with them on one occasion. Well, Joey was skipping school and failing classes and did not even care. This used to be a kid that was getting straight A's, and now he's failing. And he's getting into more and more fights with mom and dad, and they don't know what to do. You know, usually our tendency when our kids are defiant like this is that we start parenting from a place of fear, which basically means that we become more and more controlling. We become more punitive. We're trying to lock them down. We try to put the hammer down or just do anything we can to control them because we're afraid that they're gonna do something that hurts their futures. Always backfires though. It never works, it never will work. I've seen lots of situations like this, and it's really probably the norm where one parent in the situation becomes super controlling. Like in this case, it was Joey's dad. He was very controlling. He was trying to put the hammer down, and Joey hated his dad for it. And then mom was sort of soft, and she was trying to maintain the relationship with Joey. And so she was being blamed by her husband because she was being too soft. But you know, in reality, she was probably doing more good than not, because when we have really defiant teenagers, there's nothing more important than how we can maintain our relationship with them. It's the only form of influence you have left. There is no other influence, and so that softer parent actually usually has the right idea. Luckily, Joey's dad came around and decided that he had to let go of his need to control Joey, and he was just going to focus on trying to have a relationship with Joey, just maintaining what relationship they could. I believe that if this is your son or your daughter, you have got to find a way to hang on to them. In the end, Joey had gotten into so much trouble that he was arrested and spent some time in jail. It wasn't really for a long time, but this is when he started to suffer. This is when he really started to look at his life and decided that he wanted to change. And he did this because jail was awful and his future was really shutting down, closing in around him. Luckily, his parents had held on to that relationship, and now they're finally in a place. They're finally in a position where they could talk to him, and he'd listen to them because life had gotten so tough for him. He was finally ready to be influenced by them, even if it's just a little bit. And really, it's only because they had worked so hard at staying connected with him. It definitely came with a lot of pain, and they had to watch him screw his life up. Well, here's a few things that are important. Before we get into those things, I want to thank you for watching this video. Are you ever struggling to communicate with your kids or to discipline them effectively? You know, none of us were ever given a manual with all the rules and steps and how to be a good parent. So we've had to learn by trial and error. We all have had to do that. Well, this channel is all about using my system of correcting and connecting to build a strong, trusting, and influential relationship with your child. If that's the kind of thing you want to know more about, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends. Okay, now let's get back to the video. Number one, avoid the temptation to parent from a place of fear, because when we parent from fear, we are asking the what ifs. What if he does drugs? What if he runs with a bad crowd? What if he has sex and gets somebody pregnant? What if she fails school? The list can be endless, and the real fear that we're facing is what if we lose them somehow, or what if they destroy themselves, or what if they destroy their futures? But when we become controlling, we lose any connection we have with them. You know, I've told this story before. It's a simple story of control and how it can backfire. My oldest daughter, used to have a friend in high school, and her parents were so controlling, they wouldn't even let her have lunch at school at the same table as boys. They just thought something bad would happen. They controlled every aspect of this kid's life. They were always afraid that she'd make some mistake that she couldn't recover from. And the sad thing is that when she turned 18, they did lose her. Like she got out of that house as fast as she could. She did not look back. So I just want you to remember that when we parent from a place of fear, we emotionally disconnect ourselves from our kids. Like this family, when they were controlling her, they were losing her. Number 2, stay connected. If you have a kid that's defiant like this, keep that kid as close to you as possible. I think this is the most important thing you can do. Remember, the more you try to control, the less control you'll have. So you have to find ways to make and keep the emotional connection with your kid. Your relationship is all you have, and this is usually when it will deteriorate the most. Number 3, you still have to have and you must have clear expectations and boundaries. So I'm not suggesting that you don't do anything, that you remove, all boundaries. When you have your boundaries, you're neutral. You don't get emotionally hijacked. You're matter of fact. You're all business, but you're also not punitive. You don't fix things for them. Like if Joey gets arrested, I did not want his parents to go hire the best attorney and get him out of it. He needed to go to jail. That's kind of what saved him. If you do that, if you fix things for them, then you just wasted the world's best teaching opportunities. They have to suffer the consequences without you stepping in. Like I said, in Joey's case, his parents did not hire the best attorney, and they just let him suffer those consequences in jail. They let him stay in jail. Number 4, try to stay together as a team. These situations are so stressful. You have to support each other. So moms and dads that can support each other instead of sabotaging each other. Just like Joey's dad really did eventually come around. He allowed himself to be influenced by his wife's much more relational approach with her son. Do you sometimes struggle to discipline your child effectively? Do they misbehave, or do they act out and just leave you scratching your head wondering what to do, or even if you can reach them at all? Well, I've spent the last 25 years as a clinical psychologist, and I work primarily with children, adolescents, young adults, and their families. And I've seen how these principles I teach have benefited my family and so many others. I want you and your family to have this too. That's the very reason I've created this free ebook about how to discipline effectively, and let me tell you, it is not what you think. This will help you correct and connect with your child. It contains information from 25 years of experience as a psychologist, but also as a dad. And it's designed to give you an understanding of effective parenting tools and practical steps that you can take today. Just go to drtoddtalks.com, click on the link in the video description, give me your details, and I will send this to you right away.